So before we all move to Dubai being billionaires, let's talk about a few other also equally important things. So good morning, everyone. And thank you for having me at this global summit. It's obviously an honor to be asked to speak here in India, and to be hosted by one of the most prestigious media houses, the Times of India. In this era of economic and geopolitical uncertainty and the era of divisiveness, forums such as this one are very vital in bringing together people from different backgrounds to find constructive solutions. This is not an era when any of us can effectively operate in silos, and we must work together as one family, to create the platforms and pathways that deliver positive change. The pace of innovation driven by science and technology has accelerated in the past decades. There are many industries, and I believe also here in the audience, which have invested in science and technology to find solutions to address global problems. And even more importantly, have deployed them at scale so everyone in every society can benefit from them. Worldwide, we are witnessing companies innovating for good and driving progress. And we have also witnessed the private and the public sector collaboration putting these innovations to the service of society at large. We have seen this in the case of the COVID vaccines, with the industry rapidly coming up with a solution based on the research and innovation, and governments implementing policies to leverage. The science and technology integrated with a collaboration between a private and the public sector has proven to be key to identify solutions to overcome difficult challenges, and ultimately, when adopted, improve lives for all of us. Let's look at one example we are all familiar with, I guess, but with a lot of similarities we can find in other industries, in other domains. It's the energy industry. We know the environmental impact of fossil fuels. While we work toward eliminating or reducing the use of fossil fuels, for example, by deploying more energy efficient solutions such as LED bulbs or more efficient engines, we are also working in parallel to replace fossil fuel energy by increasing the use of renewables. We are also sparing no efforts at the same time in designing policies to accelerate the adoption of better solutions, both among consumers and at the industry level. The first approach tackles the issue at its root, which is the elimination of harm creating resources. The second tackles it by identifying alternatives. The harm elimination and the harm reduction are not mutually exclusive. Deployment of these two approaches in parallel accelerates the resolution of the problem. In all these examples, science and technology has come together with public-private partnership to drive a positive impact on a society. And here I am. My industry is no different. The same principles apply. As a CEO of Philip Morris International, the major tobacco or cigarette company, I have a responsibility to lead my company and inspire the industry on a path to better. As always, the change has to start from within. This is why we focus on better products, on better ways of operating, better sustainability practices. Let me start with the most important thing, which is our products. Everyone in this room knows that smoking causes disease. And clearly the best thing for smokers can do is to quit smoking. And this is beyond question. What many people do not know is the primary cause of this disease. And the reality is that the problem starts with a combustion, with burning. Combustion triggers the release of high levels of harmful chemicals in the cigarette smoke. The combustion essentially turns on the chemical factory that generates thousands of chemicals, including approximately 100 of which have been identified as the very harmful or potentially very harmful. India knows better than most countries the harm caused by burning. The same harm reduction principle that is being applied to replace cooking over wood-fueled stoves with gas-fueled cooking system, or replacing combustion engines vehicles with better ones, applies to tobacco. Thanks to advances in science and technology, it is now possible to eliminate combustion and replace it with controlled heating at much lower temperatures. At these lower temperatures, these products generate significantly lower levels of harmful compounds. And by significantly lower levels, I mean as much as 95% lower or even higher. And yet, for too long, smokers have been given just one choice. They can quit, and they should quit. And many do, but the majority simply don't. Therefore, the policies deployed over the last several decades to eradicate smoking, as we all know, have yielded some results, but have not solved the issue. Despite decades of efforts, we still have more than 1 billion smokers today in the world, and over just 100 million people that smoke in India alone. We know that vast majority will not quit. And this is where we know we can do better for this billion people. We know that our biggest contribution to society lies in addressing the fundamental issue of cigarette health effects. Throughout PMI's history, we have been a leading player in the cigarette market. Now we are very intentionally leaving that behind, embarking on a transformation to provide for adults who would otherwise continue to smoke a better solution, a vastly better solution. In 2016, we have committed to realize a smoke-free future, a world without cigarettes. For our company and our investors, for current adults that smoke, for the global public, is just a much better choice than continuing the past business. Since 2008, we have invested more than $10 billion in researching, developing, and commercializing better alternatives. Research on our heated tobacco product includes 18 non-clinical, 10 clinical studies, as well as over 450 peer-reviewed publications, book chapters, and so on and so on. This has all happened since 2008. And now our smoke-free products are now adopted in 73 markets. But as I mentioned previously, solutions to the issues of societies takes more than a simple innovation or the initiative of the private sector. It is important that others embrace the opportunity offered by innovation and science, to benefit the world. The challenges across the world are a mix of science integrated and public sector collaboration. When this collaboration happens, the impact comes at scale. Now, innovation by the nature of offering something new, something that didn't exist before, is often met with a skepticism. Is the new thing really better than the previous one? But once we embrace it, once we are comfortable with the new, previously unattainable goals are coming within our reach. And this is also happening in the tobacco sector. Globally, public health authorities, expert organizations, and society at large are increasingly leveraging the innovation to tackle the serious health consequences of smoking. In the United States, the Food and Drug Administration has created a separate pathways for innovative tobacco products that evidence proves to be better than cigarettes. Through this pathway, FDA authorized the marketing of alternatives to cigarettes that they deem appropriate from the perspective of promoting public health. Similar approaches have been implemented by many other countries. In recent years, many countries have seen their cigarette sales decline, replaced by the adoption of much better alternatives. In Sweden, where better alternative oral tobacco products such as snus and its recent evolution, nicotine-containing pouches, are widely available to adults, just less than 6% of people smoke. For reference, this is about 2 times lower than India's smoking incidence. Sweden has the lowest smoking rate in the European Union, and this is accompanied by lung cancer and oral cancer rates that are among the lowest in the world. Another example is Japan. Historically, cigarette consumption there has been much higher than in many other countries. In the period between 2011 and 2015, cigarette sales declined at an annual rate of about 1.8% on average. Combustible cigarette smoking incidence in 2015 was 20%. In 2015, the first heated tobacco products were made available to consumers. Since then, combustible cigarette sales accelerated the yearly average decline rate to almost 10%, about 5 times higher than before, resulting in a smoking incidence of approximately 13% in 2020. Today, with the expansion of availability of alternative products, heated tobacco products, almost 35% of cigarettes have been replaced by heated tobacco products or other alternatives, and this just happened over the last 7 years. These alternative products heat tobacco rather than burn it. This results in a significant reduction of harmful or potentially harmful compounds compared to cigarette smoke. Hence, it comes as no surprise that recent analysis from Japan showed a downward trend in hospitalizations for COPD exacerbations, one of the diseases very strongly associated with smoking a cigarette. And this happened over the period since the alternative products were introduced to the market. Now, equally important, research funded by the country's ministries of health shows that there is a negligible adoption of these products by minors or underage people. This was a great achievement, but this was not an easy task. Changing people's behavior requires investment in equipping them with the appropriate knowledge about the product and supporting them in their journey. Similar dynamics are being observed in many European countries. Never in the history of public health intervention has such a sudden decline in smoking rates been observed. Now, what might this mean for India? India is no stranger to harm reduction. It has led the world in embracing policies that reduce harm in other contexts. And India has earned a reputation as a global leader in tobacco control. Nevertheless, there are still, as I mentioned before, more than 100 million people here who smoke. So what could it look like if India saw similar results to what other countries have seen by making better choices available to smokers who otherwise would continue smoking, who wouldn't quit? What if, like in Japan, 35% of people that smoke move to less harmful forms of tobacco consumption. That would mean 35 million adults in India who adopt better alternatives to cigarettes. A huge potential not only to improve their individual health, but also to reduce the burden on the healthcare system. There are also 200 million users of oral tobacco in India. They could be offered modern oral tobacco products that are much safer, products that benefit from scientific and technological advances. These products exist today and have a significant impact to public health, as has happened in Scandinavia. We have seen the impact of India adopting science and technology at scale in the context of the pandemic, unified payment systems, many other areas. This pioneering approach can also apply to tobacco harm reduction to bring a massive public health breakthrough at home and across multiple countries. All that's needed is for today's innovative science-based products to be matched by equally innovative policies that encourage people that smoke, smokers, to switch to less harmful alternatives. This is where India can help drive positive change for the rest of the world. And I believe as a chair of the G20, it can be a prime example for emerging economies. Approximately 80% of the world tobacco users are in low and middle income countries. Today, technology and scale allow for better alternatives to be provided to people that smoke from all socio-economic classes. Innovation in the tobacco industry is finally a reality. The question we must ask ourselves is this: how do we ensure that innovations are used in the service of people? In other words, how do we leverage technology, science, innovation to accelerate public health progress and get millions of people here that smoke away from cigarettes? Given India's history in leveraging innovative solutions to solve issues of society, I am confident that India will be a global leader in progressive tobacco policies going forward. Thank you for your time and attention.